Hello and welcome to Pioneers Technologies Limited. In this video, I'm going to tell you how to build an XML document using the XML Builder Factory. So in this video, you're going to learn how XML is built because data can occur in different ways. Data can come in form of a JSON, it can come in form of an XML, it can also come in form of a text and also in form of HTML. So the way you build data before you consume it as an API is what I'm going to show you here. So you see that in line 1, I've made some imports. I have to import from w3c.dom document. So after this import is done, then I will need to have a document builder factory in line 4 and line 5. You can see that I've imported document builder factory here. Then I'm going to also build the document right there. So I've also passed some configuration exception in case we have an exception. So in my class in line 13, I've used the document builder factory to create a factory object that is going to be used to build our document. So this video is going to tell you and show you the easiest way to build an XML before you consume it as an API. So you can see in line 17, I've introduced a try block. This try block is also followed by a catch block, a corresponding catch block. In the try block, I've used the builder I've used the builder object, which I created in line 16 to also instantiate the factory. And you can see that every exception that arises from that has been caught in line 19, and I'm printing the stack trace in line 20. So that is how we create an XML builder. That is the starting point, and that is why I'm taking this time to explain to you how far I've gone. So let's get along so that we can completely build the factory of the XML. So here in this factory, we are going to be generating our XML document, and we can now move it from the back end to the front end so that it eventually occurs in our browser. And at the end of the day, we can consume the data that comes henceforth. So that is how we're going to do it. So I'll move out of my cache block here. After the cache block, I'm going to create a document object. So let me go down here. I'll say document. Mind you, in my list of imports, you can see that I've imported document, but it is not yet used. It's not yet used. So I'm going to use it in line 23, and that will make me create a document. I'll call it DOC, and I'll use the builder to build that document. So let's create another object from element, then I'll call it student element because I'm going to call this one student element, and that's going to be created from students. Later, I'll do element so that I can also create a root, because if you are building an XML, you need to first of all start from the root. So the root is going to be the first thing I'll do immediately after I create the document builder. So this document object in line 21 is going to be the starting point, and I'll eventually create my root. So let me call it root. So I'm leveraging the functionalities that is built into IntelliJ, the code completion functionality. So now the root has been built in line 24, and I'm building a student document in line 25. So I'll move along to create the student element. So let's call it student element. So I'll create student element. Then the student element is going to be the content of my XML. So let me put it as the first name of the student. Let's say first name of the student. So the root is there. I'm going to call this one students with a with an S so that to be pluralized, and this plural will show us that I have from the students. So let me make this one the root. Mind you, you need to understand that the root of this whole document, the root of this whole document that is going to enclose everything is students, because we are saying that every single student must have the following properties. So we now create a student from student. We create a singular student from a plural student. So after doing that, a student will have a first name. A student will also have a second name, or we call it last name. So let me call this one last name, last, and I'll call this one first name. Let's call it first name, and let's call this one last name. So let's call it last name. So that's going to be built like that. So now the root is there, the student is there, the first name is there, the last name is there. Now let's assume that our student has an email. So we call this one email. Then we put the email right here so that that creates a document parser for our student as email. Then we can also create marks for the student. So let's create marks, and I will just copy this marks and paste it right here to save me some typing. So once that is done, I'll now need to instantiate the text that's going to go right inside it. You can see that in this line 3, I've not used the text. I've imported it, but it is not yet used. So I'm going to go down. Then here, I'll write the text class. Then let's call it T1. Then we'll create the document from that. DOC as created above. Dot. DOC dot. Then I'll create the element. So this element is going to call text node, and this is going to be the node that is going to be the point of creation of the student. So let's call the student that the student is from Pinus. Then the text node is also going to have another text. The content of Pinus as T2. I'm going to have that one as technologies. Then I'll have another one. Let me put this as limited. Then let's have the third text as the email of the company. It's pinastech@gmail.com. Then I will now use the text as well to create the mark, which is going to be like the mark of the student. So let me just give him 80. So these are the texts that are corresponding to each of the elements created. So now I need to now assign value to the first name element. I'll say first name, then I'll say first name, let me append. Append child is actually used to append the properties that we have created at the top. The first name that we have here, if I need to append it to the document itself, to the XML parser, then I will need to append it at this level. So I'll say first name dot append child, then I will now append this object C1, which is standing for Pinus. I'll append that here as the first name. Then I can do that for last name, append the T2 correspondingly. For the email, I can also append that. That'll be T3. And for the marks, I can append that as T4. So now I will use the student element. I'll use the student element to append the child to it. So that's going to be liable to the first name, then the student element as well for the for the last name, for the email, and also for the marks. So once all these are done, it shows that, mind you, I'm using the code completion functionality of IntelliJ. It's a very good one. If you can use it, it makes your work easier. So I've appended each of the parameters created, that is each of the objects I've created in line 26 to 29, namely student first name, last name, email marks. I've appended all of them to the corresponding student here. And let me now do the root. For the root, sorry, my caps lock was open. So for the root, let me append the student element. Then I'll append the child. Then I'll append the child in that manner. Now, I will need to use the transformer. The transformer class is actually used to transform your XML into a passable object. You can see here, I've done some imports, which is going to be used. So here, I'm going to use the transformer package, and that's what is going to transform the XML document into a parsable object. So I'm going to set it to null from the onset because that is the default property of transformer. I'll call it T equal to null. So let me set that to null. Then I will now use my root element. I'll use the root element to now use it as a try block. So right here, I'm going to use the transformer object. Then I'll call the transformer package. But here I will need the transformer factory. Then I'll create a new instance of that. Then I will use the new transformer class. So once that is done, I'll need to check my code. I think I have some red lines. Okay, because I've not introduced the cache block, I still need some cache block. So the red line is gone. So now for the transformer, I have an object T for the transformer, and the cache block is also catching it as exception one. Let's catch it as exception one so that the first exception that arises from the transformer package is caught as E1. Then I can now use the E1 to print the stack trace. Mind you, printing the stack trace means that you are dealing with the exception and you are catching the exception in an appropriate manner. That is the meaning of this print stack trace. It nullifies every exception that has arisen or that must have arisen from the try block. So that is the function of the print stack trace. Now, let's introduce another cache block. Here, I'm going to introduce the cache block in such a way that I'm going to catch the configuration exception, and this configuration exception is going to be called E. Let's call it E1 as well, because there's nothing bad in calling it E1. You are allowed to repeat your object name when you are catching the exceptions. As long as they are within the cache block, you are allowed to use that. So let's also catch another exception that might arise. This time around, I'm going to catch it as the transformer factory exception. Transformer factory because any exception that arises from the transformer is also worthy of being caught. So I'll call it transformer factory configuration error. So because an error can also occur at the level of the transformer, then we can cache that in our cache block. Then I will use the e1.print stack trace. So that is the stack trace. I have some red lines here. I need to look at my code. Think transformer factory configuration exception. Yes. Okay, let's check what is happening. Put our cursor on it. Saying delete cache or Java XML transform. Okay. It says exception Java the XML transform factory has already been caught. Oh, I've caught it before. So I need to okay, let me see how many exceptions I've caught. Transformer configuration exception, transformer factory exception. Okay, I think I'm done with that. I don't need to cache it again. So let's take that away. And after we have the try block, we can have another try block because you are going to be trying different eventualities as far as your transformer is concerned. So I'll use t dot transform because I'll need to transform the XML. So I'll now use the object of it. I'll say DOM source. Then after I get the source of the DOM, then I can use my documents in that aspect. Then I will use the new keyword again to create an object of the stream result. Then inside the stream result, I'll catch another object, which is the output stream. File output stream. And here is where I'm now going to specify the path to my file. So here, I'll need to go and create a folder inside my C drive so that I'll have where I'm going to consume my XML as a form of data. So I'll minimize this. Then I'll go right inside the C drive. Let's go there. So I'll go to my this PC, my C drive. I'll create a folder inside there. So this folder, I'm going to call it Finance Tech. So inside this Finance Tech, I'll create this is where I'm going to have my XML created. So this folder is existing inside my C drive. Then let me open this Finance and I'll create an XML document. So I'll say new, then I'll create a text document. Then I'll call it student.xml. So is it that's going to be student.xml. Then when I do that, inside this student.xml is where I'm going to have my passing to the folder. So right here, I have the folder existing. Let me minimize my notepad. So minimize this, go back to my IntelliJ. Then right here, I will need to write the source, but I'm going to leave it for now and go ahead to catch every exception that might arise. So I'll catch another exception because at times when you want to deal with a file in a particular folder, for example, I'm going to deal with this file that I'm going to put inside this folder, and mind you, there might be an error along that path. So because there might be an error, I'm going to catch every possible error that might arise from that. So I'll call it file not found exception because at times it is possible that your file is not found. So let's catch it as E. So just print the track, just print the stack trace for that. So once that is done, it is also possible that you have your transformer malfunctioning. So here you need to catch the transformer, exception. Let me go down. So catch it as E. Then I'll say E dot trace. So all that done. Then finally, while I'm outside my try block, I can come right here and say system.out. Okay, let me just sort that. Sort. Just say printing, say XML file generated. XML file generated. So now this is where I'm going to have my XML file along this path. And if you observe, there's one error at the top. This error is as a result of not having the path to that XML at that location. So let me have the path to that place, to that file. So I'm going to open my PC. Then let me remove the contents of this. Let me remove the content so that it is open. So all I need now is to just print I'll copy the address as text. Then I'll go to my file. I'll go there to paste that. So Control V. Oh, that's not coming properly. I'll need to go back to that location. This time around, I think I'm going to copy it as a text, not address. So I'll go back there and come here and paste it as a text. It's still giving me error. Okay, let's do it in such a way that it is along the path to our C drive. So put my double quote, so C, then I'll say Pioneer Stack, that's the name of the folder. Then inside that Pioneer Stack, I want to create an XML called students.xml. So with this XML document is what is going to be created. That's why we call it XML Document Creator. Look at it in line 13. So here we are rest assured that our XML document is going to be created just by passing these values. We are going to have the XML being created. So all things being equal, I hope there is no error in the code. We're going to run the code, and if there are errors, then we're gonna have to deal with them. I do not foresee any, but if there arises any error, we are going to look at it again. So let's run it. So it will take some time for the skeleton to be built. Okay, it says XML file generated. So it has been generated, but along which path? Let's go and see the path, this path that we have just specified. So I'll go to I can see it has been generated. I made it empty before, but now it is there. So I can see that it is 1 kilobyte. So if I open it, let's open it and see. So we're going to open it with our browser. Let me open it with my Edge browser. You can see that's the file. So the way it is exactly in the backend, it has been brought to our browser because, mind you, our browser is mainly our front end. Whenever we interact with our browser, we're interacting with our front end. So this is how you create a file. And mind you, if you look at the code, you see that here I've created the XML, and all these parameters that I've included here are what you are seeing right in the front end. So that is how we generate our XML. So if I change any of this code to maybe Pioneer's Technologies, if I write the limited in full, I don't want to show you so that you see that it can be updated as well. Now the limiter is in full. Mind you, it is not in full right here. So I just want to see to prove that that file has been generated appropriately. Let's run it again. Okay, it says XML file generated. Now let's go and see along the path, that same path, this XML. Let's load it again. You can see it is now written in full. So that's how to consume APIs, also generate an XML file. This this method is used to get data from the backend to the front end, and you can consume your API in this manner just by XML generation. So thank you. I will expect you back on my channel. Remember to like the video, subscribe, and share. Thank you, and see you next.